All right. So I've got some questions about measuring amplifiers using the test set. So it has receive tests, it has transmit tests, and it has duplex tests. So if we put it on transmit tests, we're going to be looking at what goes into the RF port here. And we're going to be using a Baofeng radio here. I put a BNC where the antenna would be. And so let's find a BNC and we'll input it here. And it says tune mode, auto manual. Let's see if it actually works in auto mode. It's set to tune frequency of 10 megahertz. Let's see if it does the 2 meter band. So I'm going to press transmit. And there, it did work. It found that it's actually 144.85, and the transmit power is 4.4 watts. Let me zoom in on that. I'll press the transmit button again, and you can see that it found the frequency and it found the power. So this is the transmit button here on the thing. So it's looking for things to come in, and you can change it whether you're going to be coming in on the RF in connector or on the antenna in connector. But otherwise it's all pretty straightforward. Now if you want to test an amplifier, you're actually going to be outputting power and inputting power both with the machine. So that's what's called duplex mode. So let's see, now we're going to need a actual amplifier. So what we're going to use is this little amplifier that I was using on my RF probes. So it's just a linear amplifier, 12 volts in, and so we have an input and an output port. So the RF input port we will put on here, and the output port we'll put on here. So what I've done is I've put the input of the amplifier. So there's going to be radio frequencies coming out of this connector and on the input port of the amplifier, and then the output of the amplifier will come in here on the RF input. So we're going to go here to duplex mode. Let's test this thing at, say, 10 megahertz. So we'll say tune mode here is 10 megahertz. Let's see, can you see that? Let me zoom in some. That'll be a little better. Okay, so we put the thing on auto, 10 megahertz. The input port will be RF in. These are just defaults. The signal generator is also going to be at 10 megahertz. We're going to output it. So we will output the amplitude. So this has a dynamic range. So 15 minus 15 dBm gives us some power here. And if we go up to highlight here, it says watts. If we hit the dBm, now we're measuring dBm. So minus 15 dBm input is actually giving us 9.5 dBm output. So we could say, okay, well, let's see, we want this to be 5 dBm, let's say. We'll come here to the amplitude, and we'll turn that down. There we go. 6 dBm, 5 something dBm. Let's see. Anyway, you get the idea. We're getting about a 24 dBm amplification in the device. So if you wanted to use this setup for testing something with high wattage, let's say you have a 100 watt amplifier, you want to test a 100 watt amplifier. Well, first of all, if you put in 100 watts on this connector, you will destroy this instrument. It's only rated at 60 watts maximum, and I think there's probably some time limit for even that 60 watts. So there is an attenuator in here. If you want to input more than 60 watts, you'll have to have an external attenuator, and make sure your external attenuator can handle the watts. So if you're going to be putting a 3 dB attenuator in here, cutting the amplitude in half, well, you're going to be dissipating 50 watts in the attenuator, so make sure your attenuator can handle 50 watts. And then the other 50 watts will be handled by the internal attenuator inside this machine. You can actually also go in and modulate the signals and take a look at deviation and stuff, input, output, a bunch of other things, but that's the basic idea of measuring an amplifier.